split the rock by hand, by leverage and pressure, and make these rocks. And look at the symmetry of it. It's just, I could just spend a whole day just looking at this thing, trying to figure out how they built it, and the stonemasons. There's different reports on it. One article says that Italian stonemasons came in. There were Italian stonemasons did come into this country and build a lot of stuff. I don't know. But the history of it, the first iron furnace, if this was the first one, and we think it was, you have to be careful when you read newspaper reports.
I quit. I don't work there anymore.
They often misremember what they're told, and sometimes when people are telling them things, they're telling them the best they know.
That's true.
They're not trying to tell them a lie. They're telling them what their daddy told them and their daddy told them and what gets passed down, and stuff kind of gets confused. So there's one article that says this thing wasn't built until 1860, but I don't think that's true. The record is that around 1843, and that's a long time ago, there were already some iron furnaces and forges all over the county. You had to have iron. Think about what you had to have. You had to have corn. Corn was really important. You had to have iron to make utensils from, pots and axes and the things you saws. So one of the things, and mills to grind your wheat and everything. So one thing that was everywhere at that time, within a day's travel, there was a mill where you could go and grind your corn and come home. It wasn't much wheat, it was mostly corn. And then within maybe a couple days travel, or maybe a little longer, there'd be an iron somewhere you could get iron. So they came in 1843 and did this massive thing. You see this little stone thing here, but that's just the tiny little part. It's what made it happen, but there were wooden buildings everywhere. There was a huge shed that came out from this side because the iron ore came out of that hole right there.
Came out this way?
Molten. There's 3 arches in this thing. There's this picture over here that local artist Frank Duncan did.
Oh yeah.
Pretty close, did a pretty good job with this, of showing that there would have been a shed over top of it, a chimney coming out the top, and then this shed coming, I don't know why all those ants are on there, this shed coming out this way. People have done a whole lot of research. The guys, 2 or 3 people have written books on this Union General named Stoneman, who had a big army that came in from Tennessee and went through Wilkes County and went through Surrey County and went up into Virginia, and some of them were the south of the Yadkin and some of them were north of the Yadkin, and one of the general had his troops under control and they didn't tear anything up, and one of the general on the other side didn't have his troops under control and they were ransacking everything. So they came back together, and we don't know if they all came to Danbury or not. There were 9,000 total troops.
9,000.
And they may have just sent a segment of them here. But people say, well, where did they camp? Except there's 9,000 of them everywhere.
Yeah.
They camped everywhere.
Probably at your house.
And there's also, we're not sure they all came here and sat down and spent the night and then all got up the next morning and went on, because they went down the river and they were in Winston on the very next day. They came through here the day Lee surrendered.
April 9th.
April 9th. And they put this thing out of commission. Well, all they had to do to put this out of commission is burn down all the wooden stuff. Burn down the shed, burn down the sheds up above that kept, there had to be sheds over there when they got the iron ore out to keep it dry. You couldn't put stuff wet in the furnace. The limestone had to be dry, so there were all kinds of sheds over there to keep all that stuff dry.
So Stoneman probably came and just burned it all.
He just burned it all down. He just burned all the buildings down. Obviously, he didn't tear that. He didn't have to go to the effort to tear that up or blow it up. He just had to burn everything down around it that made it work.
Knock the dam down, perhaps?
We don't know when the dam. He possibly could have, but the dam would have been irrelevant because they weren't building it at that point. It was that close to the end of the war. They weren't going to build it back that would have done any damage.
So are you saying between here and Danville, this would have been the only one of these?
No.
Sorry,
No.
okay.
They were scattered around.
Oh.
Here, there. This is one of the best preserved ones. Because
how
a
large-
lot of them, if they're in remote, there's one in Lincoln County, and a lot of them in remote places, people started tearing them down and taking the rock.
So how large of an area does this have like circled?
Well, it's the only one. There's one up in Patrick County, Virginia,
Exactly.
back on a back road. I've been to it. There's the one here. There really was really scattered because you had to have decent water power.
Mm-hmm.
The one in Patrick County is really worked off a pretty small creek. I was pretty amazed. But it's older than this one. It's smaller. All this place is covered in slag.
Huh.
And you recognize it because it kind of looks like volcanic rock.
It does, doesn't it? Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know all this. I thought I knew this stuff. I didn't.
And if you look on the ground, you can probably
Malachi, did you get a piece?
find your piece of it.
Yes. Excellent. Abigail, get your piece. Souvenir. That is so
Mine,
cool.
y'all don't get it. It's mine.
Let me see
I'm
that.
serious.
So
It's mine.
cool. Been here the whole time, didn't know
Yeah,
it.
see?
I had no
Here's a
idea.
great
Y'all don't keep it.
He just found that this is the best piece I've ever seen.